Let me reiterate, there is no soft inflation target. There is no soft implicit target, not on this committee's watch. Let's talk about Kevin Warsh. Kevin Warsh. So I was on vacation last week, so I didn't talk about this as it was happening, but it's still relevant. Last week, the Fed kept interest rates steady for a fifth consecutive meeting because of inflation pressure, really. You have the war in Iran, you have tariffs, you have AI fueling the economy and causing it to become hot. So Warsh came out and said that, not just Warsh, the Federal Open Market Committee, they decided to keep rates the same. But, Warsh is very interesting because he said he's not saying much. He's very, what's the word? Concise, pithy. I think pithy is the word I'm going for. Because he didn't say much because he's not giving forward guidance. So he's not like Jerome Powell where he's walking you through, here's where we see the economy headed over the next year and here's what we're thinking. And obviously we're going to be data dependent, yada. Like Jerome Powell had this very soothing way of talking to the markets. You might call him a market whisperer. But Kevin Warsh is much more concise and punchy. And it seems like markets didn't like that because there was a sell-off and mortgage rates went up. And I think it's like, what might have caused it. Warsh said, let me reiterate, there is no soft inflation target. There is no soft implicit target, not on this committee's watch. I'm not sure if he said it. I'm going to punch it up. There's only a target and it's 2%. And this is very significant because it's basically Kevin Warsh saying, come what may, we're going to get inflation back to 2%. And I'm going to do it no matter what. Even if it causes a recession, I say that explicitly, but that's what he's implying here. He's going to do whatever it takes to get back to 2%. 2.5% isn't good enough. 2.2% isn't good enough. We're getting to 2%, at least in terms of the long run average. That's his goal. And Warsh, this is what we mean when we call him an inflation hawk. He cares about inflation more than anything else. The Fed has this dual mandate where they're supposed to balance unemployment to inflation. But there's definitely a group of economists who feel like inflation comes first, and then you can worry about unemployment. And by saying that there is no soft inflation target, not on this committee's watch, it's 2% or bust, he is doubling down on his hawkish ways. And it's so interesting because this is probably not why he was appointed, right? I don't know. The president criticized Powell for increasing rates too much because that mortgage rates went up and he wanted to make home buying more affordable. So he put Warsh in after criticizing Powell. But Warsh is doing just what Powell did, and you could argue that he's doing it more harshly and more directly. And I think being an ideological inflation hawk, I'm not an ideological inflation hawk, but I respect it. I respect people who mean what they say and stand on it, even under social pressure to do differently. And Kevin Warsh is that guy. Whatever you want to say about him, he's that guy. And markets did not react well. Is there actually, what do I have to say? We know that mortgage rates went up. Let's see. What was the S&P 500? What did the S&P 500 do? 1 month. Well, I guess it went back up recently, but last week it went down. So the market didn't really like what he had to say there. But I still respect it. And I wanted to point out this Warsh op-ed that he wrote in 2021, which I think gives some more insight into why he's acting the way he is. Before that, let me hop over and see the comments. Lux F90 says Trump picked the wrong guy, smiling, laughing face. I think he picked a fine choice that the markets would be like, okay, the wrong guy. He wasn't going to find the right guy. I don't think there was any world where he could have picked a Fed chair who was going to do exactly what he wanted them to do. That was not going to happen. They weren't going to get confirmed. So anyway, Lux F90 says 5 years and they have never reached their targets. True. The Fed has been above this 2% target since the economy reopened after the pandemic and inflation went to 9%. We have been above this 2% target since then. So 2022, it's been almost 4 years and we have not hit this target. It's starting to drag on a bit. If it drags on too long, then the US economy loses credibility. And so this is an op-ed that Kevin Warsh wrote in December 12th, 2021. So even before the was fully reopened, I guess we all got vaccinated, or at least I got vaccinated. Vaccinated, if that tells you anything about me. So we got vaccinated in summer 2021. So by December 2021, I guess things were reopening. And Warsh wrote this op-ed that said the Fed is the main inflation culprit, culprit. I don't know, I'm saying his word. The Fed is the main inflation culprit. The central bank has enabled price increases that may soon pose a risk to financial stability. So, I mean, I feel like Warsh was in a sense that the Fed did not react to inflation quickly enough. The inflation that we were all calling transitory, myself included. Like I was like inflation would be transitory back in 2021. I wasn't transitory, stuck around, still here right now, maybe for different reasons, but still here. So Warsh was right about that. It didn't really cause financial instability. So I guess he was wrong about it really being such a problem that it would cause financial stability. But I think he's still worried that if inflation remains above its 2% target, it will, or it risks putting our entire financial system into like a catastrophic. And the logic behind that is that the reason why we have this 2% target is for credibility. So all the global investors believe that the US is capable of reining in inflation when it needs to. If we don't rein in inflation when we need to, then global investors will lose faith in the US economy and pull out of the US economy. And then we risk, we risk treasury rates increasing significantly, which would increase mortgage rates significantly. And we would just all become poorer simply because the Fed didn't do their job. So Kevin Warsh, he's here to do his job of getting things back to 2%. And it might be painful in the short term. Markets might not like it, but he's standing on business. We don't know how long it would take of us being above 2% inflation for the global economy to lose faith in the US economy. Like, we're at 4 years now. Is it 4 years? Is it 5 years? Is it 10 years? Like, how long can we do this, staying above our target and maintain our credibility? But the moment that credibility is lost, bad news, bad news. So not people care about these tail risks. Tail risks are hard to comprehend. A tail risk is something that is unlikely to happen, but could happen. US have a lack of faith in the US Federal Reserve. It's one of those tail risks. But Kevin Warsh is here to, make sure that doesn't happen.